This is BBC Radio 3, Friday night at very nearly 18 minutes past 10, and now for the last time, Mixing It with Mark Russell and Robert Sandall.
Hello, Mixing It's final hour and a quarter is mainly full of great new things on CD by, among others, Basquiat Strings, Deerhoof, Ergo Fismis, The Fall and Yoko Ono. Although we will be casting a bit of a backward glance with People Like Us, otherwise known as Vicky Bennet, who's kindly mashed up some bits of past Mixing It's as part of her session for tonight's programme.
Now, when we were in Berlin for our special report recently, quite a few people mentioned an act called Sudden Infant. They mentioned him specifically as being a leading light on the vibrant noise scene there. Well, we've just got hold of the Infant's recent album, Invocation of the Oral Slave Gods, and of course, it's an absolute cracker. This is how it opens, and I think it's a title that sums up Mixing Its full 16 years of broadcasting. Noise Relaxation.
Close your eyes and relax. Take a deep breath through your nose. Hold and exhale slowly through your mouth. And let go. Let go of any tension still held in your body, and as your breathing becomes slow and steady, allow the cares and the stress of the day just drift away like a white balloon floating in a beautiful blue sky on a warm summer's day. The fire grows warmly in your grate. Your chair is comfortable. You are at ease, relaxed and calm. Nothing can disturb you, can it? After all, it's an everyday world. No one to ripple on the tranquil waters of your life. Yet the day draws to a close, and night is as inevitable as death. But you are safe. Of that you can be certain. You are safe, aren't you?
Noise relaxation indeed. That was Sudden Infant from his album Sudden Infant's Invocation of the Oral Slave Gods. It's on the Blossoming Noise label, and I can tell you that Sudden Infant is a man called Joke Lanz. He's Swiss, and he is based in Berlin, as we guessed from all the comments we heard about him in Berlin, and he's also based some of the time in London.
Well, thanks for that, Mark. I must say, I thought it was rather more relaxation noise than noise relaxation.
But yeah, that is the opening track on the album. It sort of lulls you into that full sense of security before it blasts in. But a lot of the rest of the album is as extreme as that last section. But it is a fantastic noise collage, this whole album.
Now, as far as I can make out, Joseph Howard Grounds is DJ Sarah Wilson, as well as Took Sinak, a tall, self-effacing young man, woman, nurse, artist residing in Bristol, allegedly. Anyway, he, she, they or it have made a fabulously witty album called Jesus is a Brave Little Toaster Volume 1. Now, we've heard plenty of cut-ups in our time on the show, but these are an authentically brilliant hoot. Pray silence for I Know I Have No Input, which is followed by a cover of a song by Björk, and your job is to guess which one.
I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. Lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore. I know I have no input. I know I have no input. My words lie on the floor. I know I'm just a robot, so easy to ignore.
Thanks, yeah. The next song I'm going to sing for you was written by a lovely young lady from Iceland who I'm sure is going to do really well for herself. I'd like to thank my band for taking the time out to learn it. We've got Peter Grounds providing percussion and whistles.
Hey, doing all right?
Marilyn Grounds on the saxophone.
Which bits do I press?
Philip Grounds at the back there playing the drums.
He has got the biggest penis.
And last but not least, Kimberly Grounds, who's holding it all together on the piano. Are you ready, Kim?
Yeah.
Okay, let's go on with it now.
Stand up. You've got to manage. I once sympathize anymore. And if you complain once more, you'll meet a mommy of me. You're alright. There's nothing wrong. Self-sufficiency, please, and get to work. And if you complain once more, you'll meet an army of me. You're on your own now. We won't save you. Your rescue squad is too exhausted. Too exhausted. And if you complain once more, you'll meet an army of me. You can't if you complain once more, you'll meet an army of me. You can't if you complain once more, you'll meet an army of me. You can't complain, you are me.
Two tracks from an album that is that good from start to finish, I can promise you that. It's by Took Sinak and DJ Sarah Wilson, who I believe to be the same person, one Joseph Howard Grounds. He has a lot to answer for. First, you heard there I Know I Have No Input, and that was followed by the Björk song Army of Me, done in more or less unrecognisable style.
But you know what? I think she'd love that. And he's picked up on a particular Björk sort of production trick where she'll isolate her breath sounds when she's doing a vocal, and she'll amplify the breath sounds and sort of loop them, and he did that very brilliantly in that second piece.
Well spotted, Mark. It's the only cover version on the album, I ought to say.
I bet he gets some remix work from Björk after that.
Anyway, the album's called Jesus is a Brave Little Toaster, Volume 1, and it's put out on the Wrong Music label.
Now, Basquiat Strings are a British group set up by the cellist Ben Davis, pretty much to play his own music, and he deliberately chose like-minded string players comfortable with jazz and improvising. For their self-titled debut album out later this month, they're joined by the drummer du jour, Seb Rochford. There's a raw edge to this album that I really like, and on this track, I love the way that the strings tackle a sort of athletic big band arrangement. It's called Double Dares. That was Basquiat Strings, who are Emma Smith, Vicky Fifield, Jenny May Logan, Nell Catchpole, leader Ben Davis and Richard Price. And they're joined on this album by the drummer Seb Rochford. That track was Double Dares. The album's called Basquiat Strings with Seb Rochford, and it's on the F. Ire label.
Really rocks towards the end, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. I think that the string writing is absolutely fantastic. You'd expect that from pieces that are arranged and composed by a cellist, but I like the way they have that edgy sound to them.
No, it's great to hear them using the stringed instruments so rhythmically. It's fantastic. Now, I can still vividly recall the session that the San Francisco band Deerhoof did for Mixing It last year, and it's good, if no surprise, to hear that the force is still with them on their new album Friend Opportunity. Since it's always a case of expect the unexpected with Deerhoof, I've chosen to play you the least representative track on the album, which features their Japanese bass player and vocalist Satomi Matsuzaki. I'd like to dedicate it to pet lovers everywhere, and especially to my daughter Grace, who adores dogs, even though she doesn't actually own one. This is Kids Are So Small.
If I were a man and you a dog, if I were a man and you a dog, I'd throw a stick for you. If I were a man and you a dog, I'd throw a stick for you. If I were a dog and you a man, I'd throw a fit for you. If I were a dog and you a man, I'd throw a fit for you. Oh, 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 oh. Potato chip, patata pata, patata pata. Oh, 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 oh. Potato chip, patata pata, patata pata. Dog, I throw a stick for you. Oh, 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 oh. Potato chip, patata pata, patata pata.
That was the unmistakable sound of Deerhoof, who've slimmed down to a trio since we last heard from them. There are only three of them now. John Dietrich on guitar, Satomi Matsuzaki leading that one, bass and vocals, and Greg Saunier on drums, but they seem to have mislaid their other guitarist, Rob Fisk. I hope he's all right.
I hate these sort of lists, 100 best this, 100 best that, but it has been scientifically proved that Deerhoof are the best rock band in the world, hasn't it?
Scientifically proved by you, apparently.
I love this album. I've been listening to it all week, and I just think it's fantastic. I mean, we may be disappearing from the airwaves, but you have a new Deerhoof album to look forward to.
5th
it's coming
of March.
out next month. Right, we had to include something in our last programme by Ergo Fismes. He's still a youngster, so we can look forward to more great things in his experimental comedy collage kind of style. And perfectly on cue, he's put out an album of his bizarre versions of songs by R&B artists. This was originally by Missy Elliott, produced by Timbaland, and they can never have imagined it sounding as dishevelled and sinister as this. It is, of course, Get Your Freak On.
on. Get your freak on. Get your freak on. Well, I must say, I always wondered what "Get Your Freak On" meant, and I'm wondering it even more now. That was Ergo Fismis's version of the Missy Elliott song, and that's on an album that he's put out called Arf and Beef, which is a collection of, cover versions, I suppose you'd have to call them, remarkable interpretations of some well-known contemporary R&B songs, plus Ergo's reworking of the entire Velvet Underground album White Light, White Heat. Now, I want to explain, this is a numbered CDR issue of 100, and half of these will be given away free with the first 50 pre-orders of Nose Points in Different Directions, music by Ergo Fismis 2001 to 2006. This is sort of greatest hits. And it includes, much to Mark and my delight, his remix of Pangolin, which he's called The BBC Have Their Say. So you might like to investigate that. And the remainder of that limited edition of 100 will be available from selected outlets.
Right, it's with great pleasure that we present you now with a special Mixing It commission. It's by the sound collage artist People Like Us, known to friends and family as Vicky Bennet. All the sound sources you're about to hear are other people's records, and it is an extraordinary feat of skill how Vicky's mixed and matched all the material. It's a huge 20-minute waltz featuring recordings of Charlie Chaplin, Willem Breuker, Dick Van Dyke, the comedian harmonists, Delibes and Flaco Jimenez, amongst many others. And over that lot you can hear someone called Ergo Fismis playing accordion. So this is People Like Us with On the Rooftops of London.
chim chimney, chim chim chiree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiroo. Good luck, we're above when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss, and that's lucky too. Has been strung. You might think a sweep's on the bottommost rung. Though I spends me time in the ashes and smoke. In this so wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. Good luck, we're above when I shake hands with you. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim chiree. Good luck, we're above when I shake hands with you. Bristles with pride, yes I do. A broom for the shop and a brush for the flu. the smoke is all billet and curl, between pavement and stars is the chimney sweep world. When there's hardly no day, hardly no night.
They're singing in the city, especially when they've been on the gin or the beer. If you've got the patience, your own imaginations will tell you just exactly what you want to hear. Suppose what they want to suppose when they hear Papa. Oh, Papa, that's how it goes. Oh, Papa, everyone knows. What is the cause of his red shiny nose?
diggy papa diggy papa diggy papa diggy do.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheroo. Good luck will rub off when I shake hands with you. Or blow me a kiss, and that's lucky too. The ladder of life has been strung. You might think a sweep's on the bottommost rung. Though I spends me time in the ashes and smoke. In this all wide world there's no happier bloke. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. Good luck, Miracle, when I shake hands with you. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. Good luck, Miracle, when I shake hands with you.
If you've got the patience, your own imaginations will tell you just exactly what you want to hear.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. Good luck, Miracle, when I shake hands with you. I choose me bristles with pride, yes I do. A broom for the shop and a brush for the flue.
Secretly he'd buy it and drink it on the quiet and dream he was at home with a girl on each knee. Oh, Papa, Papa, that's how it goes. Papa, Papa, everyone knows.
On the
What is
rooftops
the
of
song is
London.
red shiny nose.
What a sight. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. Good luck, Miracle, when I shake hands with you.
If you've got the patience, your own imaginations will tell you just exactly what you want to hear.
Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. A sweep is as lucky can be. Chim chimney, chim chimney, chim chim cheree. Good luck, Miracle, when I shake hands with you.
Absolutely brilliant. That was a piece we commissioned from People Like Us, who is Vicky Bennet, and she called that On the Rooftops of London.
And one more piece from People Like Us later. Now, Do Make Say Think are a Canadian band from Toronto who actually sound like they ought to come from Montreal. They play long instrumental pieces in that very distinctive Godspeed post-rock style, using chamber instruments and slow-building dynamics. In fact, this track from their new album, You're a History in Rust, is such a slow builder that we haven't got time to play you all of it. So we join the band about halfway through A with Living and stick with them till the sad and bittersweet mariachi ending. That was the last half of A With Living by Do Make Say Think from their album You're a History in Rust, which is available on the Constellation label, about which Mark was just making some very kind remarks.
Well,
I
think
like that rock and roll sound.
Yeah,
Mark?
I think they have, as a label, they have a sort of house sound, like I remember the label 4AD used to have, or the ECM label did, maybe still does.
I think of it more as being them recording the sound of quite a lot of those Montreal bands, notably Godspeed You Black Emperor, who were, I guess, the first group that really made Constellation Records any money or put them on the map.
But if you'd played me that and said, what labels is this on, I would have said Constellation. I don't know what it is, it's that chamber rock, but there's a sort of a spaciousness around the sound and a kind of ramshackleness to it. Anyway,
it's a gold star answer you came up there, Mark. Very good.
Right, this month Yoko Ono releases a remix album with a great title, confirming everyone's prejudices about her. She's called it Yes, I'm a Witch. A stellar cast of bands and musicians were asked to choose their favourite Yoko song. Artists like Peaches, DJ Spooky, Cat Power and the Polyphonic Spree all chose to highlight Yoko's experimental vocals. And I love what the Flaming Lips have done with this song. Their leader Wayne Coyne says, "We took Yoko's primal screams and John's moaning feedback and turned them into a kind of Ornette Coleman-ish melody." They've called it Cambridge 1969/2007.
This is a piece called Cambridge 1969.
That was Yoko Ono as remixed by the Flaming Lips. I don't know why it just makes us laugh. That's the track Cambridge 1969, and it's from Yoko's new remix album called Yes, I'm a Witch.
It's actually an album of duets, really. It's her with a load of different people, including DJ Spooky.
Yeah, but they've all remixed original Yoko tracks. Apparently they were given access to whatever parts of the master tapes they wanted, and most of them chose the vocals. And that album's out on the 17th of February.
And now for something completely different. And that, we are told, will be out sometime next year.
Robert, I know you think I'm a pretty sad individual, but I couldn't help noticing that was in 7/4 time.
Yes.
I think it's a really good song because it's got that very minimal piano motif and hand claps keeping the beat.
On to tonight's main feature. Now, this evening we're going to be looking at those alternative versions of songs which are known as remixes. Well, what goes into a remix? How does it get there and why? Take a listen to this piece.
Why? Apparently that track is unreleased, so I don't know if you'll be able to get hold of it, but
don't be upset.
We thought it wise to invite them all in to the Mixing It Maida Vale studio.
This is actually an excerpt from the first half of the session,
which really was a session of two halves. The first was based on the as-yet unreleased album, using drums and chaos pad on laptop and electric guitar.
Yeah, that was a great afternoon at Maida Vale Studios. I thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah.
You know,
right, now all I can say is what I like trying to work out what's real and what's not. Anyway, I can basically boil this down to the mysterious production of eggs. That track was the oncoming storm, wind rush, and the deep smell of change, disorientation and confusion. A thunderstorm recorded by a wildlife sound man with electronic interventions by trumpets and guitars. I've got a bit of a bad cough, actually, so if I have a coughing fit, bear with me. I'm good to hear the Maida Vale Celeste, French horns and a variety of analogue and digital synths, guitar, tam-tams, timpani, violins.
Yes, I love the lazy trombone drifting over the top of that very insistent hammering. It was not, as some might have thought, the phantom driller of Broadcasting House again. I mean, to me, that has a lot more attack and certainly a lot more surprise value than most guitar rock arrangements that you'd hear.
I think a lot of electronic music gets you on a very abstract level.
Are we calling this electroacoustic music, Mark?
I don't know what you're calling it. Oh, yes, it's one of them mixing it segues.
Oh, yes, it's all part of the mad soap opera that is post-rock musical chairs. Now, though, back to that categorically non-aligned music. See what you think. That track is largely achieved by a modern sound montage technique called sampling. It wasn't rock, it wasn't folk, it wasn't new age or classical.
As I said before, you can't buy that.
Which is partly why we've rescued it here tonight.
Yep. This track doesn't have a name. It's one long musical piece, which is all put together by some sort of looping gadget.
As a sort of amplified acoustic plank with knobs on, which he supports with guitars, piano, traditional Japanese flutes,
trumpet, and keyboards and saxophone, with a man who regularly set fire to his guitar on stage.
And violin. And wobbly drones. Stir that lot together, serve with a traditional Egyptian rhythm performed to fend off evil spirits.
Packaged in a lovely BBC tube.
Ah, well, crowd-pleasing antics, those.
I think there is quite a lot of humour in it. At one point it sounds like one of them might be soaring through the other, which makes a sort of mooing sound. But I think it's impressive to actually work out how the sounds are being produced. I mean, they only play keyboards, twin guitars, hand claps, foot stamping, saxophone, clarinet, and wooden box drum. And it's difficult to work out what's doing what. I think it's...
yes. Hold on a minute. Where's my copy of the album cover? I had it. Is this it? No, that's the one I took from here. That's Mark's.
No, actually, I've got a copy
Did
in my bag, I think.
Pocket one?
Well, that's almost all for this week.
Until then,
good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Good night.
Good night. Hello. Good night.
Good night.
And it ends just like that.
Some great sounds in there. I like those low growling horns that go through.
Yeah. No,
very nicely cut up as well. Until then, good night.
Good night. Good night.
Did we really used to sound like that?
Scary, isn't it?
That was the final piece in our session with People Like Us, Vicky Bennet. We sent her about 10 editions of Mixing It over the years, and that's what she came up with, and she called it Remixing It. So, if you'd like a playlist for tonight's show, you can get it in the usual ways. Email mixing.it@bbc.co.uk. CFAX page 652, you can write to us, Mixing It, BBC Broadcasting House, London W1A 1AA, or then there's the website, bbc.co.uk/Radio 3. This show will be up there for the next week on the Listen Again section, and you can add your comments to the new music message board. And we'd like to say thank you for the many emails of support, letters and general comments we've had. They're really very much appreciated, and I'd like to say thank you very much for listening over the years. It's been a blast for us, and I shall really miss it.
Yeah, it has been tremendous fun presenting this programme, not least because of you guys out there listening, who often seem to be more clued up about the music we've played than Mark and I do, which is possibly not that difficult. Anyway, you've been great, so thank you. And to celebrate our conclusion, we go out on a big high with the indestructible Fall. Good night.
Good night.
I think it's over now, I think it's ending. I think it's over now, I think it's beginning. A 7-year cycle seems to happen every day. I walk up the hill and then descending every way. I think it's over now, I think it's ending. I think it's over now, I think it's beginning. A 7-year cycle seems to happen every day. It is now ending, now it is beginning. I think it's over now, I think it's the beginning. One day 3 fellows, they all clubbed together to get their hair back and replace the shiny heads of town skin. They did sail the shiny sea. I think it's over now, I think it's ending. I think it's over now, I think it's beginning. To find the head planet was shut by the ITSI with refurbishing incorporated Helsier. I think it's over now, I think it's beginning. I think it's over now, I think it's ending. 7-year cycle happens every day. Walk up a hill, standing everywhere. I don't love you and I never did. I don't love you and I never did. I don't love you and I never did. They are not over yet or even started, and they all club get fought together. I think it's ending now, I think it's starting. I think it's over now, over. A 7-year cycle happens every day. The mention of the pack, I wanted to the bay. I think it's ending now, I think it's beginning. I think it's over now, I think it's ending.
I think he's right. Over by The Fall, ending Mixing It, which was presented by Mark Russell and Robert Sandall. The programme was produced by Felix Carey.